Greetings, everyone. This is Eric Stewart from Fishing Fanatics, and I'm super excited today because I have Roy Hawk on the line here. How you doing, Roy?
Good, good, doing great, man.
Good,
Little
man.
little on the water sesh here.
Dude, it's awesome background. It's beautiful scenery in the background. We were talking a little bit before, and I was jealous because I'm stuck in this like box over here in the office, and you got that nice, beautiful background with your dog in the background too.
Yeah, that's old Max. He's a good dog. He likes to go.
Nice,
He's wondering
cool.
he's wondering why we're just sitting still, not fishing.
Yeah, he's looking at you like, what do we do now? But Roy, I have your background here. Let me just rattle off the list of achievements you have. I mean, we're talking Major League Fishing Pro, two-time Wand Bass U.S. Open winner from 2015 and 2021, past Angler of the Year for Wand Bass Pro Am, MLB, MLF Toyota Series, Bassmaster Open, and a bunch of other stuff to list there. I gotta ask you, how did you get your start in professional bass fishing, and what really helped you climb the ranks?
I started out the rough way. When I was in high school, I had my first son. Ended up actually dropping out of high school about halfway through my senior year, and got a full-time job, and always had this dream of fishing. And it took me a long time to get things straight and get things built up. It took me a long I used to Back in the day, I would borrow boats from people and fish tournaments and be the pro in their boat borrowed, and they would go as a co-angler, and until I finally won my own boat. And after that, I was able to at least fish out of my own boat as a pro. But I mean, that took a long time. That was like, I think I got my first boat in 2002. I won a big fish boat at the US Open. So, but in 2003, that was my first
And you
bass
won
boat.
it?
Yeah, I won a smaller one, sold it, and used the money to
Nice.
buy a bigger one. Yeah. And it really was
Beautiful.
just
That's
really,
awesome.
really slow progression. A lot of guys, like now they go to the high school tournaments, college tournaments, and it's a solid progression. And if you stay focused, you can run a nice streamlined program right to the pro ranks. But yeah, I did it kind of the hard way, but I don't regret it at all. And life's been good, so glad to be here now.
I mean, that's pretty cool. Like to win a bass boat, sell it, and then buy your first bass boat. It's probably a pretty cool story because you're basically funding like, okay, cool. I made enough money to then get the tools I need to go professional or fish those tournaments that I wouldn't normally be able to fish.
Right.
So
And
that's
it
pretty
took me
cool.
from 2002, I won my first boat, and then 2007, August 2007 is when I quit my last like regular job, and then just fished professionally.
That is the dream there. So along the way, who were a couple of mentors that really like kind of showed you the ropes, taught you some different techniques maybe you weren't sure of, and just kind of helped you along?
I think more just life skills. I have a good friend, Mark Wyatt, who's actually
Mm-hmm.
been one of my team partners for about 30 years. We've been fishing together, still fish together. We just fished a tournament last weekend together. So, just having him, he's kind of like a brother, a father, and a son all wrapped up in one. He's helped me out a ton, and probably more just life skill type of things more than fishing related. I always ask people and talk to people and share information with people, about fishing and techniques and whatnot. And I get a little bit from each of them, but in a lot of ways, I was self-taught fishing wise. Not that I did it all myself, but just I would. I was always studying more than everyone else was. You know what I mean? The people that I was around, I was always the one staying up later at night, staying out longer on the water. You know what I mean? So there wasn't, you'd always get something from somebody, and I was very alert to pay attention, when somebody was bringing up something cool or had something, happen on the water that they wanted to share with, and things like that. But overall, I was the one. It was just me, and a desire more than anything. As far as just, there's so many different ways you can, find knowledge out in the world right now. And even back in the day, I was going through every Bassmaster magazine, every One Bass, we had a Western Bass magazine. And I mean, I would go from page to page to page and go through everything, where other friends and stuff, I mean, they'd look at it and find an article they like, and then they'd never read the rest of it. You know what I mean? So I just had a strong desire to learn more, constantly, and still to this day, really. My whole life's just kind of enthralled in fishing.
The biggest takeaway there is just put the time in, put the effort in, time out on the water, time reading about what you should do out in the water with different circumstances or different techniques, and basically you just did it. I love to hear that.
Yeah, and
Um,
just maintaining that burning desire to learn, and to get better, I think is huge. Some guys put in a lot of time, but they really don't have that heart in it. You know what I mean? Like they know they got to stay out on the water the
mhm.
long. When they're out there, they're just kind of dinking around. You know what I mean? Especially towards the end of the day, they're not super
I
focused. But
I definitely feel that, and I've definitely felt I've been guilty of that too. When you've been out on the water, you've been grinding all day, and the last 2 hours hit, and you're like, I kind of just want to just chill out and not really fish too much. My back's kind of sore a little bit. I just want to take it easy for the next couple of hours, and you end up missing that like bite. But I totally
yeah,
feel that. And
I'm not.
you won the Angler of the Year.
Yes, sir.
Um, I just want to bring up the Angler of the Year award that you won at the One Bass Pro Am, and winning that. How did that change your experience? How did that? What was your biggest takeaway basically from winning that?
That was I don't remember the exact year for the one bass AOI, but it was early on. It was probably like 2003 or four or something like that. And so it really, I'd won one bass pro am in 2003, right after I got my first boat. I won another boat and won a tournament, and it was actually right here at Havasu before I ever lived here. But uh, so that kind of helped, like, all right, maybe I can do this thing, and then but winning like an Angler of the Year title kind of helps you solidify that you have some legitimacy to you. It wasn't just a one hit wonder type of thing, and that you can rumble with these guys out here. At least that's a West Coast series, so that kind of got me going, kind of helped me get some confidence that I could tackle the Western United States at least.
I love it. And confidence is key, especially when you're bass fishing. And maybe some days they're not biting, maybe some days they are biting. But as long as you stay confident and you stay on course, I mean, you'll find them, right?
Yes, sir.
That's
Yep.
it. So let's talk about a beautiful scenery in your background and the lake you're currently at. What was the lake's name again?
This is Lake Havasu
It
in
was
Lake Havasu City, Arizona. It's
nice,
on the
and that is
Colorado.
your home lake, right?
Correct. Yep. I live about I don't know, 5 minutes from the launch ramp. So
Beautiful. And what is the biggest takeaway there? Because I'm a northeastern guy, and we get the four seasons up here, and there's been all through the year the bass move all around, whether it's deep weather, whether they're pushed up shallow, different times of the year. But for there, what is the techniques like change from season to season?
we basically get all 4 seasons here, except for we don't get snow and we don't get ice. So other than that, we get kind of all 4 seasons. Obviously, the winter season's only about a month and a half long. So it's a shortened winter season. We have a really long spring. Like the spring will be basically, there'll be a hard pre-spawn about the end of January. And the spawning goes anywhere from, I've seen them on beds the end of January before. It's pretty rare, but usually in February and real strong in March. And we'll have spawning fish all the way until June. So we have a huge
Wow.
long spawning season. We have cold water discharge that comes out of Lake Mojave, the lake above here. And so that's always got cool water coming in. So that extends our spawning period further into the calendar year. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, and of course, summer here is pretty intense. It gets to, we'll have a lot of days well over 100 degrees. And that can be anywhere from May till September, even October. So what normal people would
Oh,
consider super summer.
oh my
But
gosh. Yeah, make sure you wear your sunblock out there, dude.
technique wise, I mean, if you have a jig and a crankbait here on this lake, I mean, you can do a lot of stuff, and throughout the whole season. Usually, as it gets later and later into the fall, I'll fish more and more reaction baits, crankbait, jerkbait, rattle trap, chatterbait, that type of stuff. And then I'll push that as far as I can through the winter. Sometimes you gotta slow down and fish a jig really, really slow on key little spots where they're at. Maybe even a drop shot or a hair jig. And then as the spring gets going, you'll go back and forth between a real slow presentation and a hard reaction, and slow, back and forth, and until it gets to the spawn. And then come spawn, it's all sight fishing and swim baits and the flipping Senkos and all that type of stuff. And then as the summer rolls around, usually I'll transition, start pushing the top water right after post spawn a little bit. Stay with the reaction baits to some degree. Stay with a little bit of sight fishing to get some of those later spawning fish, and then really start flipping. And all through the summer, I'll frog and flip. And then right in the middle part of the summer, I'll start deep cranking again, offshore type stuff. And then it all circles back around. But that's kind of
that was beautiful how you just laid that out through the entire seasons. I mean, that short clip there literally tells you everything you need to know about Arizona fishing. And yeah. I love how you laid everything out there. For topwater, when the fish are hitting topwater, what's your go-to bait on that lake?
I would say one of my favorites, and just if you only had one, it'd probably be a shower blows. The shower blows made by Evergreen, and it's one that casts really good, which is important. And then you can fish it fast or slow. You can make a bunch of noise, or you can actually be able to make it quiet as well. So you can do a variety of things with that one bait.
Nice.
Like a Sammy is a real good one, but you can't really fish it slow. And a spook you can fish, but only slow to medium. It's not really good at, really fast. So.
Right. So you like the versatility of that bait then?
Absolutely, yeah.
What was that bait again? Just one more time for our listeners.
Evergreen shower blows.
Nice. Cool. Now we'll definitely have a link of that in the description if you guys want to go check that out.
But there's a whole variety. I mean, just a regular Ozara spook works really good at times. Buzz bait works really good at times. Of course, a frog. This lake's really famous for frog fishing. So
nice. I love a nice frog bite.
All the reeds back in the background there. They really stack up in those around the spawn, and a lot of them just hang over into the summer, and the water, our lake level will be completely full then, and there'll be a ton of fish way back up in that cover.
Nice. Cool. Just flipping a frog all the way back there and just dragging it through those reeds. I could only imagine the blow-ups that you get out there.
Yeah, it's fun. We actually have a Spro frog tournament comes here every year where you can only use Spro frogs, and man, it's a riot.
No way. That's probably a great time.
It is. It's a lot of fun, and we end up, you end up going out and practicing. Everybody beats up all the shallow fish, and we end up catching them like offshore on a frog. A lot of times, just because the banks get so beat up from all these guys throwing frogs. But it's fun. It's a good time.
It's good stuff there. So let's change it up a little bit. I know normally we like to talk a lot about fishing on this podcast, but what I understand is that you're huge in the barbecue. And, cooking your own barbecue and doing that kind of stuff. And, recently you've been doing the carnivore diet, right?
Yeah, correct. I eat about 98% just straight meat, so you got to be good at barbecue. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna eat that much, what's your favorite cut? What's your favorite? Like, is it ribs? Is it steak? What's your go-to?
I like them all, but man, you could live on straight ribeyes for sure. The fat to protein ratio just about perfect with a ribeye. And they're one just blew up right over here. One just blew up right there.
You think you can catch a fish on live podcast?
I don't know, maybe.
I don't want to put you on the spot or nothing. But, nah, I'm just kidding. You're all good. We'll wrap this up shortly so you can get back to fishing too. I don't want to take too much of your time here, but
I'm just enjoying the day.
Absolutely. And so real quick, just a few questions I'd like to ask everyone on the podcast. What's your PB bass?
My single biggest bass that I ever got verifiably weighed is a 12.5 that I caught in a MLF Toyota series back in the day. It was actually called like the Stren series or something back then. I think it was Everstart. They changed the name throughout the years, but it was a 12.5, and I caught that at Clear Lake, and I was in 8th place going into the last day. And with that fish plus a 9 and a 7 and so forth, I had like 33 pounds and won the tournament. So I actually caught it in
my two biggest. What a day!
my two biggest verifiable bass that I've caught have both been in tournaments. So thank goodness.
Very cool.
I caught one that was rumored to be a lot bigger than that, but it was never verifiably weighed. So we won't even talk about it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool. And then what about your bucket list fish? Is there any fish that's still on your bucket list that you want to catch?
I think the winning fish to win Redcrest, that's a bucket list fish for sure. That would be a you know what I mean? Like for me, it's all about tournaments and always striving to do better. And everyone asks like, "What's your favorite lake?" And I'm always like, every time it's like wherever the next tournament is, because that's what's in my mind. That becomes my favorite. That's what I'm focused on. That's all I want to know is information about that next lake, and all I want in my brain is to think all the positive things about that next lake I'm going to. And the same thing, what would be your, like to myself in my heart, my personal best fish, and that's what it would be. Like the winning fish to win Redcrest, the World Championship of Bass Fishing. For sure.
I like it. So you are locked in on tournament fishing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only way I can feed my family and live. And, it'd be like the same as, back in the day when the Indian killed a buffalo or something, you know what I mean? They're like, all right, we all it's a party because we get to survive, live another day. Oh, yeah. It's the same for me.
It's interesting. I like it. It's so different because, I work full time and fishing is more of like a release, but for you, it's a job, a real legit thing. Like if you don't catch fish, you can't provide for your family, and I think that just speaks volumes to tournament fishing and what you guys have to go through.
The only way I'm able to do that and to live that way, I mean, I never had money in my entire life, so I've lived just one tournament to the next, literally. And the only way I can do that is with God in my heart. I lay it on his feet and let him handle it. And I don't have to worry about it. My job is to simply go out there and do the best I can do. My job is performance. How I do in a bass tournament is basically none of my business because I can go out there and perform to my greatest ability and still come in second because I can't control what the other guy does. Or, if this guy blows up his engine and I make mine, I make it in, I get to weigh and he does it and then I win or vice versa. There's just too many variables to control. And the only way to do it is to let go, let God handle all that, pray about what you're supposed to do, and then go with what that feeling is. And the Lord told me, that this is where I'm supposed to be, and I will stay here until he takes me away, whether I'm got no money or a bunch of money. It's some days it's ribeyes and some days it's peanut butter and jelly. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Oh, that's great. That's a great line there. That's a great line. And Roy, on that note, man, and I really appreciate you talking with me here. Real quick, can you just tell our listeners how to find you, what social medias you got, what you're at, just a way for them to basically follow you after this podcast, listening to you speak?
Yeah, no problem. Roy Hawk on Facebook. You can find my personal Facebook there, or you can go, which is most of the time it's maxed out. Occasionally someone will die or whatever, and you can jump in there, which I don't mind anybody being on my personal one as well. They can see some of the stuff that's going on throughout my life, which I'm real open about. And then Roy Hawk Fishing is my regular fishing one. And then Fishing Hawk on Instagram, and Roy Hawk 1, I believe, on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter a ton, but yeah, feel free for everybody to reach out.
Awesome, and I'll leave all those links in the descriptions.
Perfect.
Yep, I'll put all those links in the descriptions, and people can check you out and look into you. So Roy, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you taking the time here. There's a few questions I didn't hit here, like Lake Baccarat, but I would love to have you on another podcast to talk about that in more detail too, and just keep in touch too down the road.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Reach out anytime. I appreciate it.
You just listened to the Fishing Fanatics podcast with your host, Eric Stewart. Feel free to check out our other podcasts and our other interviews on our channel on Spotify, YouTube, and much more. Check out our Instagram page, TikTok, and Facebook as well.